Welcome to Los Angeles, California for tonight's game here at the Staples Center. It's time for the NBA, live on 2K Sports. This is Kevin Harlan with Steve Kerr and Clark Kellogg alongside. And our sideline reporter tonight is Doris Burke. And now a quick check of our starting lineups for both teams. First for New York, Felton is out there with Iman Shumpert. And in the middle, the 2012 Defensive Player of the Year, 7'1" rebounder, shot blocker, and leader Tyson Chandler. Then it's Tampa, and it's Bargnani in at the 4. And for Los Angeles, Nash and Bryant in the back, and holding down the middle out of Central Michigan University, the skilled and ambidextrous 7-footer, Chris Beeman. Then there's Nick Young, and it's Gasol at the 4.
Well, for the Lakers last season, it seemed there was so much turmoil throughout the year. Injuries, coaching-wise, changes in the offense. They never were able to really gain any momentum. They made a decent run at the end of the season, but that didn't carry over into the postseason when they were swept by the Lakers in the first round.
I think going back to D'Antoni and the Lakers, that Howard and Gasol were made more than a little disgruntled with how Clark he made use or didn't make use of them offensively.
You know, the Lakers brought in D'Antoni to try to emphasize Steve Nash and his role in the offense, but I think they neglected how that would affect the 7-footers. Didn't do a really good job of incorporating those guys, and when you got Kobe getting his shots, that's a tough dynamic to work with.
I don't know if too many other players, Kevin, who have his level of concentration offensively. He just seems to have that singular focus you need as a shooter that, you know, even if a defender's all over you, you still just lock in and let it go.
And Steve, very few players have his finishing ability. We see him get a lot of and-ones because even if he draws hard contact, he is able to play through that and typically score. Well, guys, with the Knicks playing a space-the-floor, pick-and-roll offensive scheme, I mean, Tyson Chandler is a hand-in-glove fit as the high-flying finisher inside, keeping defenses honest and then cleaning up the mess on the weak side board if shots are missed.
And here is Felton following Steve Nash's 3. It's Anthony with the drive. Oh, trying for it. And it's out of bounds to the Knicks as New York retains possession. A little over a minute gone here in the first quarter. Here's Felton. And the rebound goes to Pau Gasol. And Clark, you talked about what Chandler has meant for this Knicks team, both on the court and in the locker room. And you wonder, you know, if Dallas, Steve had it to do over it, do you think they would have tried harder to re-sign him?
Well, I understood the plan. Dallas felt like with Dirk Nowitzki getting older, they had to save that cap room for a superstar, maybe Dwight Howard or Chris Paul. But it's always easy in hindsight when those things don't happen to say, hey, what were you doing?
Clark, some tough offensive sets. They want to turn it around.
Yeah, they need a basket just to regain some momentum here, Kevin.
Gasol drives in, and that one's good.
Even with the D lurking, he made it look easy with the soft finger roll.
There's 10 seconds left here in the first quarter. Here's Felton, out to Anthony. They need this. And the whistle blows. It's going to be on Nick Young. That is his first foul of the game.
Tough break for the defense. He took the heat and drew the whistle.
Yep, but when you get there late, that's what happens.
Tries a three off the inbound. He got it up that time, but it wouldn't fall for him. And that does it for the first quarter. Lakers lead by 7. Live from the Staples Center, you're watching 2K Sports. Welcome back, folks. Thank you for tuning in to the NBA on 2K Sports as we get set to get going once again. Hey, during the break, players getting a chance to refuel and hydrate with some Gatorade as there is more basketball in store. And what stands out to you from the Lakers in this one?
Solid first quarter for this club. They came out strong, and they've put together some nice momentum here.
Steve, I like the looks they've gotten on offense. A lot of good ones. There were only 3 teams in the East that had a positive record against the Western Conference, and the Knicks were one of them. When you have talent like this team does, it doesn't really matter where your opponent is from because you're going to be able to compete.
Man, a pleasure to watch him work at that end of the floor.
Blake with it, rejected by Smith, but they recover it. Farmar kicks to Johnson. Dishes to Gasol. Johnson with a screen on world peace. The timely screen gave him a step, and he took it all the way. Well, Clark, as you mentioned, the Knicks against the West, when you had the offensive capabilities from deep that they did, you know, Steve, you're never really out of the game. Yeah, you should know.
Well, they could just shoot their way back into games very easily, and that's what they did a lot of times against some of those teams in the West. But you have to play well against the West if you want to win your division, and the Knicks were able to do that last year.
Let's go now to the sideline and catch up with Doris Burke. Hey, Doris.
Well, guys, Andrea Bargnani, the #1 overall pick back in 2006, but he hasn't been a star caliber player in the NBA. Injuries have played a role, certainly, but his defense and rebounding have been the biggest problems. A former coach of his with the Raptors said it just didn't seem like he had enough passion for the game, that it wasn't important enough to him. Some pretty harsh words, but guys, sometimes for 7-footers, the game finds them. And defense and rebounding, certainly not the glamorous parts of this game. Kevin will see if he ever realizes his potential.
And hope for the best. Thanks, Doris. 2 shots.
You know, offensively last season, guys, the Lakers just never seemed to be able to get out of their own way. I mean, they had the worst turnover ratio in the league, and they really struggled to take care of the ball. And even when they got up a shot, a lot of them were questionable shots. They shot the 3rd most threes in the league, but were in the bottom half of the league in percentage.
And the second free throw, good. And going back to the Lakers' offensive troubles last season, the worst free throw percentage, Steve, in the NBA.
And obviously that's attributed directly to Dwight Howard, because the Lakers also led the league in free throw attempts. So Howard was getting half. He really couldn't get it going. He made about half his free throws for the season. And that just really carried over into the team's performance. And a 2-for-1 opportunity.
Yeah, they've got to hurry. Step on the gas here.
And that one's good. Blake's got himself on the board with 3 there.
The rapid-fire threes coming from everywhere.
I thought it might be a little imprudent to try to get those points right back, but it worked.
Here's Hudrick. Here's Smith. And the Knicks good for 2. In low to Hill. Working on Stoudemire. Shoots the 3. Farmar, no good. In low to Hill. Taken away by Anthony. And we're through 2 here and a good one. Lakers ahead. They lead by 3. We'll see you back here after the break for 3rd quarter basketball.
And now, brought to you by Sprint. Happy Tuesday to all of you from us at 2K Sports. I'm Damon Bruce. The Lakers playing with poise so far. Their great passing has been fun to watch, keeping the ball moving and picking apart that D. Leading the team in scoring, Pau Gasol. He's got 4 points and 3 rebounds as well. And for New York's angle, they've been grinding away. Excellent bench production, the second string coming in, knocking down the shots. J.R. Smith making a big contribution. We've also got some great production from Carmelo Anthony as well. Thanks for tuning in. Now back to the action in Los Angeles.
The Sprint Halftime Report, presented by Sprint. Here we go now, the start of the third quarter, welcoming you back in a closely contested first half so far. Have to like what we're seeing from Carmelo Anthony.
I think this is the kind of quality performance we expect to see from him. He's always setting the bar high for himself, and sometimes I think we just kind of get numb to how good he really is.
You know, Steve, I think it's doubly difficult to keep up the level of play he does when you know you're the focal point of the other team's defense. And to be able to play like he has when you have a reputation of being the guy, that's impressive.
Now, here is Bargnani. He's had some playing time, but no scoring yet from him. Clock is at 3. Shumpert, no good.
Well, I know you've heard the phrase run and gun. Well, the Knicks last season were walk and gun. They set a record in three-pointers made, 5th in three-point percentage as well, but they were dead last in fast break points.
Well, now they're just going to town on it.
Yeah, you'd think these defenders would have done a little more to put a stop to that stuff, Kevin, but so far, no go.
Well, a phenomenal aerial assault there, fellas.
Now here's Anthony. 5 points in the game. For 3, Felton. The shot will not go. Lakers leading by 5. And Doris Burke has something for us. Hey, Doris.
Well, gentlemen, the Lakers barely squeezed into the playoffs last season. Despite that, they had the largest luxury tax bill in the league, almost $30 million, more than double the next highest team in the Miami Heat. So, maybe one silver lining for them with Dwight Howard deciding to move to Houston, the team won't have to shoulder the even more punitive taxes that began this season. Kevin?
Good point, Doris. Thanks. New York, no good that time either. And back to the Knicks, Coach Woodson gives them off-season conditioning programs. Training camp was mostly running. But, Steve, a slow pace of play once the game gets started.
Well, in all seriousness, of course, there's running and movement, even in a half-court offense. But, some teams need to push the break to create offense. But the Knicks, they're pretty good in terms of scoring in the half-court. They can stretch you out. They can rely on Carmelo's one-on-one game, and they can pick you apart.
The free throw drops for Kobe.
Well, a coaching carousel for the Lakers last season. They made it only 5 games before firing Mike Brown. Then they decided to go in a new direction. And, boy, they went through 3 different head coaches before all was said and done. They never really were able to gain that consistency they were looking for.
Catching up on the changes for New York, Stoudemire comes in for Bargnani. And J.R. Smith subbed in for Carmelo Anthony. And back to the Lakers' struggles last season. What do you think, Clark, were the main problems that, held them back from being the kind of title contender that they thought they were and a lot of people imagined they were?
Well, how much time do I have? 3 or 4 shot clocks worth? I think there were a number of issues, as you might expect. Injuries played a significant role, but I think there was discord over how they should play, really no true identity. They were a big team trying to be small, a team without a number of shooters trying to spread the floor, older team trying to go up tempo, coaching change, and that transition.
Right, yes.
You had a lot of moving parts, and it made it very difficult for everybody, I think, and it showed in how the Lakers' season went.
That's a good assessment. And as we end the third quarter, a double-digit deficit will make it tough to come back. Lakers lead by 11. And right after this, we'll bring you the start of the final quarter right here on 2K Sports. And we're getting underway here in the fourth quarter. The scoreboard tells the story in this matchup. We'll see how much things change up here. And let's quickly check out the scoring breakdown here for the Lakers.
Guys, the passing we've seen from them has been tremendous. Very unselfish.
And they're getting the ball inside, which is what I like. High percentage shots down on the block and in the paint area.
Nash kicks to Johnson. Back to Nash. Taken away by Felton. Leads him in there. Deflects the pass. Now Young inside. That's in there. Johnson with the assist. Young's got the first basket as we get going in the fourth for Los Angeles. Felton kicks to Bargnani. And it's out of bounds for the Knicks as New York retains possession. A different look for New York. Tyson Chandler is checked in for Stoudemire. And then it's Amon Shumpert in for J.R. Smith. So it's New York with it. It's a 13-point game. Out of bounds, Knicks ball as New York keeps possession of it. Here's Felton. Outside Anthony. There's the three.
I think they've got to get back to what they were doing in the first half if they want to win this game. I mean, they're shooting it poorly, and that's really due to the fact that they've not been as sharp in their execution.
Well, Kevin, probably his greatest value lies in his tremendous three-point shooting. When he's out on the perimeter, it gives them the ability to really stretch the defense out.
And you know what else, Steve? Watching them run the pick and roll is like watching poetry in motion. I mean, this guy has that basic play down pat. He's unstoppable when he runs it.
And the whistle blows. It's going to be on Steve Nash. That's his first foul. A different look for New York. Stoudemire's checked in for Chandler. Hardaway comes in for Carmelo Anthony. And it's Pablo Prigioni in for Raymond Felton. New York calls timeout. They're down by 15. There's 57 seconds left to play in the final quarter. Let's catch up with Doris from the sideline.
Yes, guys, over that break, I was able to catch the message Mike Woodson was giving to his team. He told his guys, it's time to turn it up a little and try to make a push. We've worked too hard to come away empty-handed. Let's put this thing away. Kevin, we'll see if they can get it done.
A lot of high hopes for the Knicks in last year's playoffs. They started off so hot, but then let the series against Boston drag on, and eventually went to 7 games, and they fell to the Pacers in the second round after that.
And the Boston series did drag on them, you could tell. You wonder if they were a bit fatigued going into that Pacers series. Steve, Indiana just outplayed him, outworked him in every way in the second round.
Yeah, I think it was a factor, Kevin, and really the Knicks have only themselves to blame. They had Boston down 3-1 in a home game to close it out, but they couldn't get it done. And there's no doubt that affected them against Indiana in the next series.
Stoudemire with the ball. And Kamen picks him up defensively.
Well, the effort was there, but he just couldn't quite fight his way through traffic.
Johnson attacking. That's in, coming off an assist by Kobe.
They certainly haven't let these fans down tonight. It's been a fun night to be in the building.
It has been. I mean, the atmosphere has been great, and no doubt that helped with the winning effort.
Hardaway from outside. That drops. The Lakers have gone 3 of 4 in field goal attempts since getting things started here in the fourth. And New York making a change here.
Meta World Peace. Driven.
16 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Shumpert. Back to Hardaway. Takes a 3. Shot is off. Outside, Kobe. And so it's the Lakers taking care of business here. They put on a show tonight, thoroughly controlling each end of the floor.
Hey, what more can you add?
Thanks for tuning in to the NBA on 2K Sports. For Clark Kellogg, Steve Kerr, and Doris Burke, this is Kevin Harlan. We'll see you next time. And now, our Jordan Player of the Game, Kobe Bryant.